Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Cool Colas here to bring you the hustler's perspective. I hope everybody is having a good day today. I hope everybody got a chance to enjoy this nice hot weather that was out here. It's nighttime and it's still hot somehow, but if you like heat, then today probably was your day. So, anyways, I want to get into a very interesting topic here that I'm sure a lot of you all are interested in by now, and you guys want to know my opinions on it. I want to tell you all what it is like doing Uber as a side hustle and what my opinions are on Uber as a company. So, first of all, Uber, if you don't know, is a rideshare company that allows you to pick passengers up and take them from one spot and then give them and put them into the spot that they want to go to. So, why the reason why I did Uber was because I was out of a job and I needed to try to find a way to make money. I needed a means to be able to have my expenses paid for and to be able to get rid of how of all my bills and how heavy they were. And Uber was a great way to do that because it gave me the time and then the flexibility to be able to get those things done while not really having a job and then not really having any more unemployment checks coming in or anything like that. So it was a great means of just trying to make money. Now, how does the onboarding process work? I know a lot of you all are probably thinking about that. So, in order to get onboarded for Uber, you have to, first of all, you have to have a vehicle that's the year 2004 or higher, being like a younger model, I guess, at that point. It has to be a four-door vehicle, like I said. It has to, it can be a car, it can be a truck, it can be an SUV. You have to take a background check. So you also have to be able to prove like that you've been driving for a year's time. So you may need an old form of identification that shows that you had an old driver's license and then within a year you got a new one to be able to prove that. And then after a couple weeks, or at least for myself, because I know some people it took a longer time, but for a couple weeks you'll find out that you've either been approved to start driving or you weren't approved. So how much can you make and earn with Uber? I know a lot of you all are probably wondering that as well too. As far as Uber goes, you can and I know like you're probably also wondering how much you can work as well. You can make a decent amount of money, but I think there's a lot of factors that are very dependent on one, your form of what you feel is decent, and two, factors that can influence how much you do make. So one thing that can influence how much you make is your area. So generally, if you live in a pretty big city, chances are you're going to have like a lot of clientele. Now you'll have a lot of drivers who are probably going to try to be making money as well too, but you'll definitely have the clientele to be able to make a nice bit of money and probably make a living if that's something that you were trying to do. So chances are you'll probably have better luck in a bigger city, whereas a smaller city, you're not going to necessarily have the same luck that you would. The times that you drive are very important. Most of the time, in my personal opinion, if you drive between, I want to say like 5 a.m. and 9 a.m., you'll get some pretty decent rides. If you drive between 3 p.m. to maybe like 7 p.m. on like the weekdays, you'll get some nice drives. If you drive on the weekends at night, like Saturday night, even and Friday night, you'll probably get a nice bit of money. And then if you drive Sunday mornings, you'll probably get some rides as well too. So that's what I would say as far as times. As far as your earning potential, your money is based off of a certain percentage, and I know it's different from city to city. And in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I believe it's 75 cents per mile that you go, and then I believe it's 15 cents per minute. And then you get a base fare of $1. Then they take out a commission. Now, what they tell you is that they take out a 25% commission. Some people are 20 because they signed up for Uber earlier. So, and the commission amounts change depending on when you signed up for it. I calculated they take out about a 28% commission, and the reason why I know is because they take out a commission on the late fee. If a person doesn't come out at the time that they're supposed to come out and you're supposed to get $5, they commission that and you only get $3.60. So, anyways, my the point that I'm trying to get at here is that you can make a decent amount of money if you do it in the right city, if you do it at the right times, and if you do it on events or when they have promotions. But other than that, it can be difficult sometimes to make money if you don't really know what you're doing. But again, writing, like getting like drives and stuff like that, that's not necessarily the only way that you can make money. You can also make money from referrals. If you refer a person, you sign them up and they start driving, then they have often promotions where you and that person can both earn money. And I think the one going on right now is you can earn, I think it's $350 for if you sign somebody up and they get a certain amount of rides, and you'll basically make money basically off of every ride that they do, and they'll make up to $350 as well. So it's kind of like a double win. How much can you work? And you can work. I think they cut you off after like 14 hours. It's either 13 or 14. Either 13 or 14 hours they cut you off a day, and you can work whenever you want. So you can work anywhere from midnight to 12 p.m. It doesn't really matter. Like you can work literally any time that you want to. So it's very good for like flexibility. So if you're looking for something where like you can kind of do what you need to do, you can stop, maybe get some lunch, or you can go and you can take some calls, or whatever it is, then Uber is probably the gig for you. Now let's talk about some important things like the pros and the cons, like the reasons why Uber is effective and the reasons why Uber is not effective. The first thing is that Uber, and this is a pro, is that it's very flexible. Again, you can work whenever you want, and you can work how much you want, of course, up to maybe like 14 hours a day. Then they tell you to take a rest. But there's a lot of flexibility in it, which is a thing that I think that most people want, even in a job, is the ability to be able to do it when they want, and then not do it when they don't, want to do it. Another thing that's really cool about Uber, and this is a pro, is the independence. The idea of being able to independently make your money, and the idea of being able to understand how it is to be an independent contractor. So basically not depending on being an employee and having a set amount of money, but being able to earn your money and like going out and getting it, and realizing that it's on you and it's up to you to try to go out there and try to make money or make a living for yourself. So it gives you a sense of independence and allows you to independently learn how to basically make it like your business. So it teaches you like a business mindset. It teaches you how to be someone who can be effective in what they're doing, and kind of like have their earning potential be based off of them and their work ethic and things like that. And of course, there's other factors that are thrown into it, like, if it's a slow day or whatever, but, getting out there is the important thing, and trying to get some like good clientele. So another good thing is meeting other people and networking. It is a great networking opportunity if you're looking to meet new people, if you're looking to see if there's maybe like a business partner that you may want to go into business with, or you want to learn about your city. Even it might even be about business. You might want to learn about what new restaurants are like around town, or you might want to just learn about some of the activities that are going on maybe in your downtown. You want to know like some of the things that are going on. So it gives you a good feel for that. It helps you to, if you have a business, it helps you to promote it, because you get like a lot of people who could potentially be interested in what you have to sell them, or you have to show them. So you may get potential clients or potential people who may want to work with you again, because by you doing rides for them, they trust you and they see that you're the type of person who is a go-getter and does their job professionally, so they may be more apt to work with you because of that. You get to do write-offs. So you get to write off a lot of different stuff when you drive for Uber. So you can write off your car note to a certain extent. your cell phone bill to a certain extent. You can write off your mileage, and your mileage being to and from a ride, to and from the gas station, to and from your like meal destinations. You can write off some of. I think you can write off some of your insurance as well too. You can write off gas. So at the end of the year, all that stuff you can basically get back in taxes. And if you do it enough and you do it the right way, you can get back money instead of having to pay it out. Basically, you get to choose who you do and do not want in your car. So when you see a ping, basically you can choose to accept it or not accept it. Basically, so everybody will have a rating on there, and that rating kind of help you determine if you want to pick up that person or not. Me personally, from my experience, that rating, whether it's high or low, does not necessarily mean that that person is going to be a good rider or not, but a lot of times it's probable that that rating is going to say a lot about that person because other people have felt a certain way about this person. Now, mind you, some Uber drivers, they get a little disgruntled because they feel as though the pay is not good enough, so they may rate a rider lower than they may have deserved. And chances are you'll probably get that more in a bigger city, so it could throw you off more. But me being in a very low populated and slow city such as Grand Rapids, Michigan, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to see who may be a rider I want in my car and who I don't. And also too, your pay availability is a very good thing, with Uber. You can pretty much cash out as much as you want, or when you want, at least five times a day if you need to. So I take that back. Not as much as you want, but when you want. So if you make money, like let's say you make $200, which in Grand Rapids is going to be very difficult, but in that day. But if you make $200 a day, you can cash that out that day if you want to. Now, if you do it earlier than the weekly pay that you get, you do have to pay a 50 cents fee in order to do that. So that's just kind of like something right there. As far as the cons go, I think ethics are a big issue with Uber. Ethics being like they don't really appeal to their like drivers very much. Now recently they've been kind of changing that up, and they've been trying to do things to kind of make that different. Like they wouldn't give you a timer as to how long you would be sitting outside somebody's apartment or house or wherever you're picking them up, and then there'll be times where because you didn't time it perfectly, they'll try to nickel and dime you. So for example, let's say like you sit at somebody's house for 5 minutes, because if you sit at somebody's house for 5 minutes and they don't come out, then you legally can cancel the ride and say the rider didn't come out on time, and you can earn a $5 fee, well, $3.60 fee for them not coming out, at the time that they were supposed to be coming out. Now, they'll try to nickel and dime you. So, in other words, you could have been out there 4 minutes and 59 seconds, not knowing that it was that crucial, and they won't pay you. So, I mean, like, they have, like, some ethical issues with that. So, those are just some things to kind of, like, think about. And just the idea that they have, like, these incentives that they put onto the actual, like, Uber app that they say where you can possibly get, like, work done. Like, for example, you could go, it may have like an icon that says you can go into a Meineke and you can get 15% off if you tell them that you're an Uber driver or whatever service you did. And what I have found and other people have found is that those incentives don't really work, in that they, in a lot of places, if you go in there, they don't know what you're talking about. So that's another thing, is that they're not really good and they don't really uphold their incentives. So again, that's an ethical thing. My thing is like, practice what you preach. If you're going to say you do something, or if you are going to be ethical about it, then my feeling is do it. And I think Uber doesn't really always do a great job of that. The next thing I think is I think they tend to kind of play on the rider and the driver. So recently what they did was they raised the fare of how much a rider would be paying, but did not pay the driver more. So really, the commission that they were taking in between what the rider was paying and what the driver was earning was going to be more, because they're charging the rider more. So in turn, the rider will get upset, and they'll, like, especially if they don't know and they're new to Uber, and they'll say, hey, how come you charge me more? But the thing about it is that as a driver, I'm only earning it based off of the criteria that I told you earlier. And then, when I turn off the app, of course, that is. And so they'll blame me for like the extra charge that they may have been given. But the idea is that Uber itself like had increased the rates. So that's kind of like just an ethics thing that they would just do that, confuse the rider, not pay the driver more, but the driver still get blamed. It's kind of messed up. The pay is a little bit concerning. I think the pay could be better for what it is. I think that because I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, of course I might not be getting paid more. I do hear that in DC the fares are pretty good. I do hear here in Chicago the fares are pretty good. But I think that for what it is, the pay itself could be better. I think for like drivers overall, because there was a point in time, and I guess this may be another ethics issue, where drivers were making 2 times what they make right now, and Uber decreased the rates by half, which could be an ethics issue, especially if you were like raising a family off of that and you decided that you were going to make that as your gig. You kind of like threw a curveball without telling anybody, and it's your company, so it's legal to do. But I can understand why a person would be frustrated about that, and for something like that, where people are seeing that that's a new way to get around and that's a good way for them to make money. And they're seeing that as a good way to be flexible. That's kind of a messed up thing to do, to just kind of like deplete how much someone is making because you want to make more for whatever reason. I think it's kind of a messed up thing to do. Again, that's an ethics issue. The rating system is kind of silly. For the rating system, it can be unfair because if you get a low enough rating, I don't remember what it is for Uber. I want to say as a driver, I want to say it's like 4.5, but again, don't quote me on that. They can kick you off the app because your rating is too low. Now, mind you, every time you rate somebody when you're done with a ride, you can rate them between 1 and 5. Anything below a 5 is not good. For the driver, definitely. For the rider, either, because you can rate the riders as well, but definitely for the driver. And again, if your rating gets too low, then you could get kicked off the app. Now, mind you, the average person who actually drives for Uber is making is I guess a rating of like 4.8, a little bit higher than that. And a lot of people, I think, are having a difficult time because some riders probably believe that if you give someone a 4 because they maybe went a wrong direction or the GPS took them a weird way, like they could get marked down as 4, and that's a really bad rating to actually have in hindsight of the fact that you're trying to stay as close to 5 as possible without getting kicked off of the app. So it could be a very silly thing again. Like it could be like the GPS was took them away that they didn't want to go, and they blamed the driver because the driver was just following directions. It could be that they're just having a bad day, and anything that the driver says or does, they're going to be upset. There's so many reasons. I think the rating system, mind you, I think you can only do so much with it. I think it could have been a little bit better. The surging process can be kind of scammy, and I know scammy is not really a word, but the reason why I say scammy is because I think it works, but I think that there are times, and subconsciously I believe this, when you drive there, a lot of times like it goes away. So you could drive and spend all your gas going to a certain area, and then you find out of course there's a surge there. That's where you're going, and you find out that they get rid of the surge as soon as you get there. It's kind of a silly process, and I think it happens more often than not. And I think that for people who are trying to make money, you would think that there would be some type of better process for that, because I think a lot of riders too are starting to catch on to that process. And what they'll do is, if they feel like there's a lot of surging going on, they'll hop off of Uber and they'll go on Lyft, which is slightly more expensive, but not as expensive as if they were to get a surge. So that's another thing that can be a bad thing. So another thing too is the unknown pickup drop-off ratio. You are not always like in motion when you're getting rides. Sometimes you're waiting around for a long period of time, especially in Grand Rapids, Michigan, again, which is a slow, small city. It's very difficult to get rides just because sometimes the clientele is just not out there, and you're not able to go and get somebody immediately after you stop. Now they started implementing little things like where they're going to try to decrease the wait time for the drivers, but to me, I don't really think there's been too much of a change. So you don't really know where I guess like when you're going to get a ride and how often you're going to get a ride is kind of at random. And the other thing that can be frustrating about it is the fact that when you do pick up a person, you do not know their location or where they're being dropped off. So you may go to an area that you don't want to go to, and you won't know it until that person gets in your car and they're going. And I think that that can be a very frustrating situation for a driver, seeing as a lot of taxi companies actually do tell you the drop-off location of that person up front. So that's another con. The other thing too is, and I think that this is something that I would say used to be a con, but is something that I think Uber has done a good job of implementing just recently, is tipping. Uber did not used to have a tipping app or application for people who were like riders and they wanted to give you money. So they recently implemented this, but I think that people are so used to not tipping. I think it's become a trend to really not tip. So a lot of people aren't getting like the tips that they need for these rides now. But I think the fact that they didn't have it and then they're telling their riders that tips are included in the fares, I think it's kind of messed up. And it shows that it goes back to the issue of ethics. The last thing, and I think this is probably one of the biggest issues with riding and being a rideshare driver with Uber, is the gas component. Gas can be a big thing. I know personally, I have a Toyota RAV4 as a vehicle. My Toyota RAV4, if I drive 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I can spend somewhere around $100 in gas a week. And that's like, filling it up so I can like go about my day and get rides and things like that. So think about it. If you make $500 a week and then you lose $100 from gas, that means you're making $400 a week right there of money that you still need to pay taxes on by the time January or February comes around. To me, that's kind of crazy, and it's kind of ridiculous. And Uber does not foot the bill at all, like on any of the gas that you pay, like while you're working with their company. So again, I feel like gas is a big thing because it's an expense, but it's a huge expense that can cost you a lot, like especially weekly. So again, like I think that comes with like having to ride your car a lot, but I think overall those are kind of like those are the things that I would say are like the biggest cons with working for that company. The next thing that I want to kind of go into is who I would recommend this to, and why I would recommend like Uber to them. So I would recommend this hustle to someone who is looking for a side income. I would not recommend this as a full-time gig, especially in a smaller city. I would not recommend this as something that someone does 7 days a week. I would recommend this to somebody who has a job and maybe they get off of work and they want to kind of catch a couple rides after work. I would recommend that, or maybe they want to do some stuff on the weekend because they're off on the weekend. I would recommend that as well too. I would not recommend that they do this as a full-time gig because it can put a lot of wear and tear in your car. You can put a lot of mileage on your car, and it can require a lot of gas, which can often take away from your amount of money that you would really make. So the reason why I think Uber is good for those types of people, because it gives them that flexibility where they can do it when they need to. Maybe your boss like made you stay after to work on a special project or to talk about something or whatever it is. You can just do it. If you need to leave at 6 and do it, you can do it at 6. If you want to if you leave at 5 and do it, you can do it at 5. So you have that flexibility. And I think that really, even if you think about a lot of the pros that Uber has, especially like when it comes to flexibility, are pros based off of the business model that it is. The business model of it being about transportation and the fact that people are getting from A to B. But let me stress this though, Uber is not really a company that is selling transportation. It's selling time. And the reason why it's selling time is because it's allowing you to get from A to B faster. It and like more efficiently and quicker than it would be if you're taking a bus or any other type of, or a train or whatever it is, whatever type of transit system your city has. Like it's a quicker means of doing that for a fee. So yeah, I recommend it for a person who needs something quick and on the side. What do I recommend purchasing? And this is probably what you want to know about this part. What do I recommend you purchase for doing Uber? First of all, you probably need a dash cam because you need to record if something serious happens or something serious goes down, and you need to like basically have it on film to prove certain things. I would recommend, especially in the summer, you have a bottle of water. Make sure that you stay hydrated because it can get very tiring if you are driving all the time. Most people think if you're going to sit on your butt all day that it's not going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be tiring. Wrong. It is so tiring, and you won't even realize it until you start doing it. Another thing that I would recommend is like a holder. So like if you like are using a GPS like on your phone, for example, you can have a holder that can, you know, like hold it up so you won't have to like hold it in your hand or, you know, look at your lap so, you know, you're trying to follow the directions. Another thing that I would recommend are seat covers. People are nasty. Some people do not bathe. Some people are disgusting. And then if you like driving at night and you drive the drunk route, some people may throw up in your seat. Now you can charge them for that. Like you can go on Uber and tell them that they threw up and like take pictures and you can get a cleaning fee for it. But I mean, who wants that? The thing about it is that you want to be able to protect your seats, your actual seats, especially if you're using your own personal car. So that's another thing. Another thing that I would buy if I was and well, I wouldn't even say this is something that you could buy. You can get this for free. Is I would get some type of recorder app, like app for recording your mileage, because you're going to need something that's going to show that you've been doing all this driving and for business basically, and it's going to like take care of your expenses. It can probably take care of like your lunching expenses as well too. It can take care of how much gas you're spending. You're going to want some type of like item like that so it can record those things for you, so when the time comes, you can like report all those things like for your taxes, and you can get a lot of the money back that you're probably gonna owe, because as an independent contractor, you're paying taxes on all the money that you're pretty much making for that year. So, yeah, that's just another thing that you'll probably need if you're going to be driving Uber. Another thing is air fresheners. I mean, you got different people in your car. Some smell good, some don't. Again, people are nasty. You want to be able to have those so, you know, you can spray them around, because what tends to happen is some people, they get real picky and they'll say, ooh, this car, it doesn't smell good, this and that, that and that, and they'll rate you low because essentially you're not really providing them, in their opinion, they feel you're not providing them the service that they need. They're not providing a comfortable, convenient, and hygienically clean, I don't know if that's a word, hygienically clean car. So that's something else that you kind of want to invest in, is like an air freshener or maybe like some type of disinfectant or, you know, something like that. But that's pretty much it. That's kind of how I feel about it. What is my overall rating of Uber is probably the last thing I kind of want to emphasize. The last, I would say personally for Uber, if we're talking about on a scale of how it is as a side hustle, and how it is as a business and things like that, I would, I mean, and again, I don't want to take this on a grading scale of like if I was in school and I was like grading it like a test, but this is just on a criteria of what I think. I think out of out of maybe like 10 points averaged, you know, based on a certain criteria, and I'll explain that criteria to you in a minute. I would give it maybe somewhere around 5.5 out of 10. And this is on a criteria of pay being a 3 out of 10, flexibility being an 8 out of 10, ethics being a 2 out of 10, knowledge, and what I mean by knowledge is enhances your business mind. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because it does do a lot of networking. Bonuses and promotions, I would say a 4 out of 10. And for just like networking and things like that, like extreme networking, I would say probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10. So I mean, like if you average those, it's somewhere around like 5.5, maybe probably a little bit more. I would say 5.5 out of 10 because really it's a good side hustle for someone who wants to make a little bit of an extra income, but not a good way to make a living. And I think initially people were thinking it was a good way because of the pay, but because they depleted in what they did with it, it's not a good way to make a living, in my opinion. But it is a good way to have some money coming in for you if you need it. But anyways, those are my opinions on Uber. You'll probably hear me talk about this subject again or something very similar, or another side hustle in some way that's similar. So if this is something that you liked and you want to see more of the videos that are to come, then feel free to subscribe to The Hustler's Perspective. If you're looking to follow my Facebook page of these videos, then follow me at The Hustler's Perspective YouTube channel. If you're looking to follow my blog, then go to my blog at hustlersjackpot.com. If you're looking to follow the Facebook page for my blog, you can go to The Hustlers Jackpot. If you're looking to go to my business page on Instagram, then you can follow me at The Hustlers Jackpot. If you're looking to follow me at my personal page on Instagram, you can follow me at Cool Colas. Again, I hope everybody is having a good day. I hope you got a chance to enjoy the video and the content that was put out for you. And I hope you guys get a chance to tune into what else I have for you. On that note, I hope you guys, again, have a good night, and I'll see you guys later. Keep hustling.